Support comes from the Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to conservation and careful management of the state's forests to make them more resilient and better habitats for wildlife. ChooseWood.com.
From the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this is The Gateway. It's Monday, October 28th. I'm Wayne Pratt. Ahead, Jorge Riopedre has been president of the low-cost immigrant health clinic Casa de Salud for nearly a decade. He is leaving the job November 1st. As he departs, Riopedre says many of the clinic's patients still don't have needed health coverage.
The system, in my opinion, needs to do a better job of either filling those cracks in or putting a net underneath those cracks.
St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton talks with outgoing Casa de Salud president Jorge Riopedre in just a few minutes. First, the news. Several St. Louis County officials are calling for significant change within the county's police administration. One council member wants to fire Chief John Belmar. More from St. Louis Public Radio's Chad Davis.
St. Louis County Executive Sam Page released a statement Sunday calling for the appointment of new members to the St. Louis County Board of Police Commissioners. The commission is a civilian oversight board that reviews police department policies and appoints the county police chief. The calls come days after St. Louis County Police Sergeant Keith Wildhaber won nearly $20 million in his case, where he accused the county police department of discriminating against him for being gay. County Councilwoman Lisa Clancy says Belmar needs to resign.
What was brought to light last week during the Wildhaber trial about the culture within our St. Louis County Police Department, which was corroborated by the findings of the jury, makes this a very extraordinary situation.
Page said an announcement on the new commission members is forthcoming. I'm Chad Davis, St. Louis Public Radio.
A hearing begins today that could decide the fate of Missouri's only abortion clinic. The regulatory hearing for the Planned Parenthood Clinic in St. Louis will be a trial-like event before a nonpartisan state commissioner. It will determine if the state of Missouri acted legally when it decided not to renew the clinic's abortion license because the state claimed doctors were not performing procedures safely. Planned Parenthood of the St. Louis region and Southwest Missouri president Yameli Rodriguez says the license denial is a political attack from a Republican administration.
Some of these witnesses are the same people who weaponized Missouri's health center inspection process to try to end access to abortion.
The hearing is scheduled to last through Friday. Residents in Phelps County and its two largest cities will vote November 5th on whether to start charging local sales tax on online purchases. St. Louis Public Radio's Jonathan Ahl reports it's the only item on the ballot in Rolla and St. James.
It's called the use tax, and it acts like the local sales tax that isn't collected on online and catalog purchases. The rate varies by municipality. Kate Wachner is with Behind the Badge Rolla, a group of spouses of police officers. She says the Rolla Police Department is understaffed, and the additional revenue will reduce the chance of her husband being hurt on the job.
Those chances increase when you're working overtime and you don't get the time to rest, and when you're dealing with increasing violence and increasing drugs.
Opponents of the measure say their taxes are already too high, and the city should look for other cost-saving measures. More than 260 Missouri cities and counties already collect the use tax. Reporting from Rolla, I'm Jonathan Ahl, St. Louis Public Radio.
As you get into a regular workday routine following the weekend, maybe add telling a friend about the Gateway to your daily to-do list. Also, if you have a chance, rate, review, and subscribe to the Gateway, which is available on several platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. St. Louis's Casa de Salud president, Jorge Riopedre, is leaving the job November 1st. That's this Friday. He's been at the helm of the clinic, providing health services to immigrants and others in need for 9 years. Riopedre has overseen the opening of a mental health office, the launch of a program to help patients find low-cost care at hospitals, and more than doubled the clinic's staff. St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton asked Riopedre if Casa de Salud's patients have the same health issues as a decade ago.
Some of the most baseline things, unfortunately, have stayed the same. So when I arrived, we saw a lot of people either at risk or with diabetes. Today, we are seeing a lot of people at risk or with diabetes. That represents, in my opinion, a a systemic failure of the healthcare system, of those who are involved with social determinants of health that lead to these kinds of situations. And so, yeah, it represents a systemic failure that CASA tries to mitigate, but certainly cannot solve.
Immigration, especially with, Spanish-speaking populations, that is something that's on the political radar in a way that I think maybe hasn't before. Can you talk a little bit more about how that's affecting the people that you see at Casa de Salud?
I think in my opinion, what has changed has been the proactive way that government, written with a capital G, has tried to strike fear in the hearts of immigrants. And again, I'm not simply talking about quote unquote illegal immigrants. I'm talking about immigrants.
And so you were just saying that you came from the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce.
Yes.
What is one of the biggest surprises that you've seen when it comes to entering the healthcare space for someone who hasn't really been there before?
So I guess I should not have been surprised, but the enormous complexity. How many moving parts there are in the healthcare environment, and how difficult it is, even when you have a lot of resources, how difficult it is to make sense of that. The negative part of it is that the complexity can lead to a lack of care coordination, too many cracks for people, especially those who do not have resources, to fall through. And the system, in my opinion, needs to do a better job of either filling those cracks in or putting a net underneath those cracks.
Can you talk a little bit about what's coming next for CASA as you're leaving?
Sure. Well, ongoing, a process that I and my board of directors and my staff started a year and a half ago and funded by the Missouri Foundation for Health, without which we would not have had the resources to do it, has been this very intentional rebranding of the organization so that we weren't just saying that we wanted to reach out to all immigrants, not just Latinos, but that we were providing more interpreters, that we were translating all our collateral materials, that we were culturally competent. I hope that by next year, we will be providing dental services. The Mental Health Collaborative mitigated, certainly not solved, but mitigated probably the largest issue which was access to mental health services. Dental health services is probably the next most difficult situation.
You sort of decided to leave without really having something lined up. Which is unusual for people. A lot of times people don't leave their job. They leave for something else, and it seems like you're sort of just jumping without really knowing where you're going to land.
I really wanted to take 2 months off, which I have never in my adult professional career done, and almost like a mini sabbatical. Take those 2 months off, recharge, reconstitute myself, and then really start looking to see what is my next step, which people don't seem to believe me. I really don't know what it is at this point.
That was departing president of Casa de Salud in St. Louis, Jorge Riopedre, speaking with St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton. Our David Casares edited that report. Shula Newman is the executive editor of St. Louis Public Radio. Music by Ryan McNeely of Adult Fur. Follow me on Twitter @Wayne Radio. I'm Wayne Pratt, and from the St. Louis Public Radio Newsroom, this has been The Gateway.
Support comes from Missouri Forest Products Association, committed to sustainable and sound conservation of the state's forests, which support more than 41,000 Missouri jobs, resulting in a $10 billion industry. ChooseWood.com.